How to price your collections for wholesale buyers. I'm Syama from Scaling Retail, and I'm going to answer this question that's on the lips of almost every single startup brand that comes to me. When it comes to looking at your price and your collections, your price is going to make or break that conversation with the wholesale buyer and ultimately with your end goal, which is the consumer. The number one thing you want to do when starting off the pricing strategy is really to take a look at your competitive matrix. And by that, I mean not just the brands that you aspire to sit next to, but the brands that you actually will sit next to. And more specifically, if you are a men's luxury brand, and I ask you to do your competitive matrix, I'm not going to expect for you to put brands down like Balmain, right? This is an established brand that has a lot of history, that's probably able to take advantage of both the quality, but also their branding. I want you to actually take a look at brands that are more specifically within your launching phase, more specifically within your aesthetic, right? Once you have an idea of who those brands are, take a note and see how much they are pricing their products at. Now, on average, you're going to see wholesale markups between 2 and a 2.5 to that final retail price. So do some quick math, figure out what are they pricing themselves at? What could that potential wholesale price be? And then of course, between your cost and that wholesale, it's going to be the final math that you do. But that wholesale price is really the one that we're aiming to be competitive with. The second way to do pricing on your line is really to talk to your manufacturer. You want to have a very clear understanding of what that cost is. Now, you're going to marry steps 1 and steps 2 together, but when you have an understanding of what that cost is, you're going to do some math and maybe you're going to, increase your markups by between a 2 and a 3, depending if you're on the retail side and depending if you're on the contemporary side, or if you're on the designer side, it's potentially a little bit less if you're starting out. And if you're a t-shirt company, maybe your markups are somewhere around a 3 to a 5. Right? So that's going to really be variable based, again, on your competitive matrix. But it's super important to understand what your manufacturing costs are and then start to build up to wholesale and retail. Now, if it turns out that the wholesale price you need to be at from step 1 doesn't marry with your cost to wholesale ratio in step 2, meaning your cost is 50 and you're marking it up to 100, but unfortunately, your manufacturer says, I can only produce this for you at a 75, right? And you still mark that up to 100. That difference is actually going to make it much harder for you, but over time, you'll take advantage of scale and you'll start to make more money. Now, the last step to consider when it comes to pricing yourself is this only for wholesale distribution or is this for my e-commerce online channels? Make sure that whatever that final price, it's going to be consistent. Right? Because you don't want to have one published price online and another in a retail shop. That's going to discourage those wholesale buyers from taking your brand seriously. Hope these tips were helpful. Please feel free to email me at syama@scalingretail.com or leave comments below with any questions. As always, please subscribe. Have a great week.